start it. This is
Bob!
It's already.
Rivas!
All right. Take two. Fast break. Sorry, the Rivas news to the Jets literally just broke.
Let's go.
I'm just gonna check Jake's phone.
He's fucking back, Bob.
All right, Bob. Yeah, come in,
just tweet
Bob.
from my
Bob,
phone?
Bob, you can come in. Bob, you can come in. This is
Come
Bob.
on, Bobby.
Let me introduce him first.
Come sit on my lap.
Hey, shut up, everyone. Fast break, take two, March 10th, 2015, free agency day. A lot of big news in the NFL. The breaking news is Darrelle Revis just signs with the Jets. Well, first of all, I got Jim Phelan today, Giants correspondent. He's filled in for Grice. I'm Mike Gein. We got Jake Miller. Tom's the producer, and special guest Bob, who just happened to join us. Bob, just give us your candid thoughts on the Revis signing.
You know what? You can't hate it. You can't hate it. Surprising? Not that surprising. He's gonna follow the money, so I mean, I want to know how much they're paying him.
I gotta guess it's probably 16 and a half.
From my sources, which I don't really have any, I just read Twitter. It was 3 years, $48 million, $40 million guaranteed. So that's what it's looking like. It's a big cap hit, but I mean they have the room. They gotta spend it somewhere. So
they have the room, and now they at least have one player in their secondary.
Yeah, that was definitely an empty backfield. So who knows what it's gonna happen?
Shotgun set, empty backfield.
So thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone that tuned in last week. We'll talk more Revis in a little bit. Big day today in the NFL. Bob, do you just want to join us for the rest of the show? Or?
I'm probably going to go watch the rest of the Islanders game, but I'll stick around.
Bobby!
Alright,
Thanks for coming.
There's no intermissions here because we're just doing a YouTube video. So, once again, this is the new Fast Break format. We're doing the YouTube video so people can check it out whenever they want. Seemed to have worked a lot better than the radio show last week in terms of, people are busy. It's from 6 to 8 on Monday nights. And this gives us a chance to record it whenever. We're lucky to be joined by Phelan today. And our sponsors, we got Pellegrino, we got Apple, as always, and Franzia donated their capital to us to help produce this fantastic video podcast. So let's kick it off. Jimmy Graham, 4th-round pick, go to the Seahawks. Tom, just so you know, that thing might fall asleep. It just happened last week, so we can cut that out. So Jimmy Graham and a 4th-round pick are going to the Seahawks in exchange for, Max Unger, and a 1st-round pick going to Seattle. That was probably the biggest trade of the day, along with the Bradford Foles one, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So Jimmy Graham, the Seahawks get the best tight end in the league. I know Gronk's got a big issue with that statement coming from me, but in terms of just production over the last 3 years and staying healthy, well, the exception of the end of last year, it's got to be Jimmy Graham. So big pickup for both teams. It's pretty clear New Orleans is in a rebuilding mode, so I guess this 1st-round pick is pretty good for them. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts on Jimmy Graham going to the NFC West. Jimmy.
Well, I think it would have, if they had Jimmy Graham in the Super Bowl, it would have made it a lot easier to make that pass. Jimmy Graham could have boxed out our good friend from the Patriots instead of throwing the ball to, who was that?
Darnell Dockett.
Oh, my.
They throw the ball.
Lockett is his name.
Oh, Darnell Lockett.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the 320-pound defensive tackle now for the San Francisco 49ers. But I do agree. I think that's going to help them a lot because Seattle likes to run and pound the ball, and then you have someone who's going to be running off the line of scrimmage like Jimmy Graham, and he could also be in the slot and run. And I think that's a very good thing for the Seattle offense, which is something that almost prohibited them in the Super Bowl, and that was really seen like they didn't really have that playmaker on the receiving side.
Honestly, Jim, I don't like the trade for either team. I don't. Hot takes on. I think that for New Orleans to pick up the center, I mean that's a big move. They desperately needed offensive line. I mean Drew Brees was getting sacked all day long last year, but I mean you're trading away. For the Saints, you're trading away probably the most unique offensive player in the NFL for the 31st pick and a center, like a center from Seattle who's, he's middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And then for Seattle, I mean, you get Jimmy Graham, but are they not a running team? That's their whole scheme is power run, and Jimmy Graham is honestly he's a bitch. He doesn't like touching anybody. I swear to God, he does not block ever. He always wants to be split out wide, and that's not the way that they're going to be running the ball, especially in the red zone. So I mean, he's going to be a red zone threat for them, but on first and second down, they're going to be giving the ball to Lynch. I mean, like you said, they learned their lesson last year. And Jimmy Graham, he doesn't like getting touched, so it's going to be interesting to see how his personality meshes with that team.
Bob, I know you got something going.
I really don't actually have much to say about this. I mean,
what
more to add? What more to add? It's a great pickup for the Seahawks. I mean, obviously the Saints are going to start rebuilding their team.
Yeah. So, okay, Bob's got nothing to say. That's fine. So. Next biggest trade today. It was a lot of trades today, and a lot of player-for-player trades. I think that whole LaShawn McCoy thing kind of sparked something last week, which is surprising because you don't ever see that in the NFL. Nick Foles, Sam Bradford, the Rams and Eagles swap, and which is to me the most baffling move. I don't get Chip Kelly. I feel like some people like it. I think Jake, you said you sort of like what the Eagles are doing. I think they're running their franchise into the ground. I don't think Chip Kelly knows at all what he's doing. But if he is, and he's like this Belichick, I said last week, mega genius, then I'll be impressed. But right now, I'm just like, there were no first-round picks exchanged. Apparently, there's interest. Tennessee wants to trade for Bradford, and they're willing to give up their second overall pick, in which, I mean, it seems like Chip's on the Mariota train. Jim, I don't know what you got on that.
Well, I think that he's doing the best possible job for the Philadelphia Eagles, in terms of the NFC East, because I couldn't be happier. He is basically Jerry Jones' best friend at ruining the franchise for their diehard fans. I mean, look at what Jerry Jones has done in the past decade with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Chip Kelly, I hope they sign him to an extension. But I think Chip Kelly will be a lot like Pete Carroll, come to the NFL and then kind of go swerve back to college. Because I think that this is such a bad decision-making when it's gone over the past 7 days. I think that Chip Kelly might be back in Oregon, Eugene, very shortly.
I don't know. I just like Chip. I trust him. I think that what he's been doing with he's gotten rid of home run hitting players, and they've still been very, very productive on offense. They got rid of Deshaun. I feel like they're just trying to get rid of big personalities. They got rid of Deshaun Jackson. I think LaShawn McCoy was causing trouble. He just wants his guys to play in his system and not question it, and he doesn't want the big names because he wants to be the story.
Listen, I think that's important in the sense that, there was a time when the Bills, it was from 05 to 2012 where they just didn't sign any players or didn't draft any players that had any sort of, troublesome pasts or anything like that, and the Bills sucked those 7 years. So I think at some point you just kind of have to realize, if you're going to want to win, you're going to have to take on some guys with, some troublesome pasts. So as much as Chip wants everyone to buy into their system, I think at some point you do have to take risks on guys that, maybe have made a few mistakes. It doesn't mean they're bad people all around. It doesn't mean they're really going to destroy a locker room. I just know the Bills were all about character, and they blew.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I'm not saying that the Eagles are trying to get character guys. I'm just saying that they need guys to buy into Chip Kelly's system, because that's how the team's going to be successful. If they buy into the fast-paced, high-octane offense, and it's clicking for them, then that's what Chip Kelly really needs to be successful. Bob, you got anything?
I just think the swap was interesting. Sam Bradford and Nick Foles. They're both kind of similar quarterbacks. Nothing crazy about them. Who knows what's really going to happen?
Foles does have two knees, so you got to get
That's true.
One knee versus two.
Sam Bradford looks like what Jake Miller looked like over the weekend, hobbling around with the center crutches.
Yeah, Jake, for anyone that didn't know, took a tumble.
Well, Kelly's
not the most athletic of them all.
Was it that Kelly?
It was a Kelly's, yeah.
It was a very top-heavy tower coming down.
Well, the lucky part was when I landed on the ice shattered, but there was no water underneath, so I was golden on that.
You stayed dry.
Well, you helped the ice. You helped the road, but
I'm only gonna talk about it very briefly. I actually don't want to. I don't want to what do you call it? Grace this segment real quick with actually talking about it too long. But in terms of the Eagles, Stephen A. Smith is. And if you guys disagree with me, then I want to hear it. But he's the most asinine human being I've ever heard speak in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked about it, but the accusing Chip Kelly of being racist a couple days ago.
Did he? Oh, my God.
Wait, you didn't see this?
No, I didn't see this.
Okay, I guess you do have to talk about it now. He pretty much said that, all the moves that he has been making, getting rid of Deshaun, getting rid of LaShawn, getting rid of, who else did he just get rid of?
Trent Cole.
And then Jeremy Maclin ended up.
Yeah, Jeremy Maclin. Now re-signed Jeremy Maclin. He's pretty much accusing Chip Kelly of being a racist because he still has Riley Cooper on his team.
Well, I mean, Riley Cooper isn't costing him $25 million over the next 4 years.
Well, I agree.
I feel like that's where the move is.
He also cut Herman? What's the guy's name? Herman or whatever's.
Also the thing with Trent
Hermans.
Cole.
Yeah, Herman's.
Todd Hermans, the tackle.
Exactly.
Yeah. But and I think they cut Trent Cole too.
They did.
In this day and age, if you're a coach in the NFL, which is an 80% black league, if not more, you can't really be racist and get away with it. I mean, if there's outright racism in a locker room, it'll come out. I feel like in Stephen A's mind, he's just this. Yeah. He's like a rah-rah type Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton type guy.
Well, I'm friends with Stephen A. Don't say something not bad. I've met Stephen A. a couple times actually, but he's not. I think that him and Skip at ESPN have to come up with things like that. Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
Back in the battles of Yankee Stadium bar, I've seen Stephen A.
That's-
I have a shirt signed by Stephen A. slipped in my room.
It's just a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, look at the players he had in Oregon. Like Garrett Blunt played for him. You know what I mean? Like, don't call this guy. I think it's an insane thing to say. All right. Anyway, we're gonna keep moving on. What are you laughing at?
Jesus Christ, nothing. But I completely do agree with you. I don't think that Chip Kelly is a racist at all. Neither is Bill Belichick for that.
No, you can't be a racist. You can't be a racist in the NFL. It's ridiculous.
You can play in the
No,
NFL.
you can play. You can't be a coach.
Yeah. Bobby?
I mean, what do you want me to say about this? I think Stephen A. Smith's kind of a jerk. I mean, he does this all the time. He says the most ridiculous stuff. Are you glad to curse on this?
Yeah, you can say
he says the most ridiculous shit just to get attention all the time. It's ridiculous. It honestly is. I hate watching First Take. Almost the most ridiculous show on television right now.
It's the only show worse is Numbers Never Lie, which is
Sports
now
Nation.
his and hers. No, Sports Nation I think is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I like Sports Nation.
Well, when
The one
Chris used
with
to be
his and hers, or whatever it is now, with Michael Smith. Is that his name?
and the Janelle Hill or whatever.
Yeah,
I
that
don't,
show.
I don't really like the First Take.
No, I hate the
Oh,
first.
First Take.
I think it's the worst
Also,
show.
Fast Break.
Fast break. This is the fast break. All right.
Maybe we'll replace him one day.
Yeah. All right. So some other big free agency signings. All right. So Revis, we can dig into it if you want. I mean, you guys just got probably the best corner in the league. For probably a hefty price, but you guys, the Jets had the money to spend. I think I'm very happy personally as a Bills fan that he's going to be on the Jets now and not on the Patriots because it makes the Patriots a little bit worse, and I still don't fear the Jets. So I'm happy about that. But what are your thoughts, Bob? Take it off, lead it off.
No, as I said before, I'm happy with the trade.
I don't know if you had any chance to process it in the last 15 minutes.
I still really haven't had a chance to process it. I haven't really read anything about it yet.
Yeah.
I really don't know how much they're giving him. I mean, who knows? We really don't know.
I gotta assume it's in the neighborhood of probably 16 mil for this next year. Jake.
Oh, Bob, you weren't done. You were done.
Well, no, I really have nothing else to say right now.
All right. Well, it's hard to say whether or not this is going to be a great move for the Jets, only because Revis is definitely the type of guy to seek the money and get all the guaranteed dollars and then pick up and leave or restructure. And I feel like he's just going to be doing that every year or two for the rest of his career. He's shown that he doesn't really have loyalty to the team. He has loyalty to the dollar. That being said, he is the best quarterback in the league when healthy. There's no doubt about it. He takes one side. He can either take one side of the field out of the game or the number one receiver on any team out of the game. He's proven that year after year. Am I glad to have him back in New York? Yeah, hell yeah. For sure I am. But at what cost? You know, are we going to win the Super Bowl this year or next year? No. We need a quarterback. But the thing is, we're 5 years at least from paying any quarterback. Big dollars. So, you know, Dean, like you say, smoke them if you got them. And the Jets are $55 million under the cap. You got to throw money at them.
What happened with that?
Jim, go ahead.
I think that Rex Ryan is pretty happy about this, too, because the evil empire, the New England Patriots, lose another key part of their defense right now. And I think that Rex views the Bills as a better team in the AFC East than the Jets, and they have a better chance of going after the Patriots. Now, still, it's going to be a mountain you have to climb to get above the Patriots, but I think that Rex Ryan likes this, too, because the Jets are now hurting the Patriots by taking Darrelle Revis. But I think it's also good for the Jets. I think it's going to ease up the Jets' concern and the pressure to win this year, because I think that Revis will also take some pressure off of Todd Bowles and everything that's going to be happening, and also bringing in Brandon Marshall. So I think the Jets right now are actually doing pretty good in the free agency.
I think the Jets have done some really good stuff. And they re-signed Bilal Powell as well, which I think you know, he was an important part of their offense. And I love the Brandon Marshall deal. We didn't talk about that because, happened, you know, in between the past two shows. But, you know, giving up, what, a 4th or 5th round pick? 5th round pick?
Steal.
Yeah, well, they gave up a 5th round pick, and they got a 7th from the Bears and Brandon Marshall. So it's basically like they gave up a 6th rounder for Brandon Marshall, which is an absolute steal.
Oh, yeah.
And he's one of the best wide receivers. He's top 5 wide receivers in the game.
Exactly. Whoever the quarterback is going to be.
Oh, that should be noted because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, that's what I mean. Whoever the quarterback is going to be is going to love
on this angle
having Brandon Marshall throw to. They cut Percy Harvin, who apparently is visiting with the Bills right now. As a Bills fan, I think that's a terrible decision. Stay away from Percy Harvin. He's a gadgety player. You know, I think he has shown some good things, but he's not going to be an every down player. And if you're the Bills, you don't need him. You've got LaShawn McCoy. You've got Sammy Watkins. You've got, you know, Fred Jackson. You've got Robert Woods. You're not going to have any room for a guy like that. You still got to put 5 offensive linemen on the field and a quarterback. But the Brandon Marshall trade I love. I think the Jets are actually doing some really good things in free agency, as much as that pains me to say. You know, I'd love to just rip on the Jets, but I actually think they've done pretty well so far.
For sure. It's exciting to see both teams, you know, go out and actually pick up good free agents that you didn't think were going to, like.
So you, Mr. Media Man, you know, you're the media expert. How exciting has the AFC East just become in terms of watchability, in terms of star names? Now, you've got LaShawn McCoy, you've got Brandon Marshall, you've got Darrelle Revis, you've got the defending Super Bowl champions, and you've got Ndamukong Suh playing for the Dolphins, who was the biggest free agent out there and got, you know, what, $115, $116 million this past weekend?
Well, you say all of these things about the players, but the thing that really started this whole media thing was Rex Ryan going to the Buffalo Bills. And that just increased the almost the want for Americans to want to watch the Jet-Bills games. And now just with the big-time players coming into New York and also the realignment of bringing LaShawn McCoy to Buffalo. And I think the Ndamukong Suh, granted the salary cap hit that they're going to take down Miami, I think it's going to be pretty incredible to see what he can do with that. I think they have a pretty good defense down in Miami. I don't think it's bad. It's not Detroit level, but I think that he brings a lot to Miami.
I think that the AFC East has made the most noise in the NFL.
I agree.
And I love it because it's been every team but the Patriots.
Yep.
They've been just losing guys. And, I mean, I think that Belichick still has some shit up his sleeve like he always does. I think Percy Harvin's probably a big target for them right now, and that could be scary.
Bill Belichick could pull the greeter from Walmart and he'd be a
that's what I'm saying. I mean, look at their roster on paper last year was not as probably top 10 in the league, but not, you know, unbelievably great. That's just how Belichick and Brady work. They make a lot with little every time.
That was easily the worst team under the Belichick-Brady era.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The defense was nothing special.
I think you had a good secondary, which I think helped your
I think it's
front seven,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
I think at times they can be very good, but they weren't dominant.
Yeah, and their offenses. I mean, you just always had that solid offensive line. Thomas, and
It's plug and play. I mean,
5 different running backs.
Exactly. How many running backs rushed for? How many running backs?
Unbelievable
this past season. So, Bob, you got anything to add?
Nothing much. I actually got to go. The Islanders Rangers game's back on.
Bob,
so
thanks for joining
thanks,
us.
fellas, for having me on the show.
Bob's first appearance. We wanted to get Bob on for a while, but he always kind of skirts away.
Never leaves the apartment usually, so I can get to our studio.
How are the Islanders doing right now?
It's 1-1 right now, so it's a good game. Isles Rangers. It's the 5th one in the series right now. The Isles took 3 out of 4 so far. So.
And the last one.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right, so real quick, we're gonna wrap this up pretty quick. Top 3 teams. Let's go down. Let's run the gamut real quick. Top 3 best free agencies so far. 3 teams that have had the best free agency period.
Well, I think Indy, obviously, they really addressed what their big problem was, which was rushing the passer and the rushing game. They bring in Frank Gore, and then they bring in Trent Cole. I think that's incredible. And I think that I had Oakland number 2, but I think that the Jets now should be second for just the fact where they're plugging in holes on the offensive and defensive side after tonight. And I think third is Detroit. I think the decision not to resign Dominic Sue is really their big winner here. And then the deal that they did with Baltimore today brings in a great defensive tackle in Nada, and I think that shores up their defensive line after losing Sue.
Jacob.
Jim, I got the same 3, but a different order. I think right now the Jets are number 1. They've addressed every single need they've had on the team. Offensive line, they signed.
Not a surprise.
They signed a guy. They signed a guy from Seattle. All right, hold on.
Oh, you know what? I think they did. They did address something. They didn't resign Michael Vick, so they did address something by not bringing Michael Vick back.
Let me ask you: do the Jets not still have the 6th overall pick? Are they still not projected to draft Marcus Mariota?
Oh my! Listen.
Let's be honest.
If you don't think the Eagles are trading up into the top 3 to get Mariota, you're out.
I don't think they have
Which
enough.
I hope they do. Because
I don't think they have enough.
They've got future first-round picks.
No, not for the second. They need to trade up.
They're going to suck with Mariota. They're going to be top.
They need to trade up to either the 6th to the Jets,
See what
or they need to trade to 2, which the Washington Redskins did it for Robert Griffin. They gave up a first this year, a first next year, a first the next year, and a second that
And
year.
how did that work out?
And how did it work out for them?
They're not.
And how did it work out for them, Jim? You tell me. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Is that I don't think that the Eagles have enough to trade up to 2, and I don't think that Chip Kelly is willing to give up what they need to trade to get to 2. I don't think it would happen.
Well,
I don't think
what you're saying is that Marcus Mariota is not. You're basically saying that you're saying that Jameis is going
1
okay.
to 10.
So he's Andrew Luck, and now Mariota's in that RG3. Same type of player, not really though.
Won the Heisman.
Mobile, yeah. Didn't win the national championship though.
You're
Lost to a third string, fourth string. Yeah, but and now you're gonna take Mariota. The Jets are gonna take Marcus Mariota.
I think the circus continues if they take Mariota.
I literally.
The circus continues.
If it's the Jets or the Eagles, I hate both teams. I really wouldn't care because it would be such a laughing matter. Because I just cannot believe that they would actually take Mariota and just not take something else or trade the pick away. I would trade it away to the Eagles and let the Eagles take Mariota.
I would too. If the Jets are smart, I think
that's what they should do.
Milk the Eagles for that.
They should try to get something. And
like you said,
don't take Sam Bradford. I would have taken Foles or maybe Mark Sanchez.
Like Jake said earlier, the Jets are not going to the playoffs this year. They're not going to win a Super Bowl.
They might go to the playoffs. If Andy Dalton was the quarterback of the New York Jets, that team would make the playoffs. No doubt.
Then they'd lose in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I was just about to say.
So they did.
Right.
They pretty much did.
Let me finish my point, fellas. If you have one of the most efficient passers in college football history throwing to Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Jeremy Curley, with Chris Ivory and Bilal Powell in the backfield, with a restructured offensive line, and now with Revis and this new kid Buster Skrine that they signed from Cleveland. That's a top 5 defense again.
I remember when the Jets had the best quarterback of all time in college football history on their team. His name was Tim Tebow. How did that go?
I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, and don't discount Geno Smith's college career. I mean, he put up numbers in college.
Oh, he did. But West Virginia was running wild.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I want to know
but
those
that's
Oregon
not
stats
Oregon
on efficiency. How many of those passes are more than 7 yards? They're very...
We've seen very few quarterbacks in the last couple of years who have been great runners in college translate to the NFL because the game is just so different. And Mariota, while he does have a very good arm, he also relies very heavily on his legs. And the defenses are faster and they're smarter and the game plans are better.
You know who that sounds like a lot? Oh, God, I can't think of his name, but I'm pretty sure he went to 2 Super Bowls in his first 3 seasons in the NFL. Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a guy who was drafted in the 3rd round, who relied on his legs in college and his brain, and everyone was saying he's not going to be a great NFL quarterback because he doesn't have the size, but guess what? He's got the brain, and he's got the legs, and he's got the arm.
Does he have the brain?
You put Russell Wilson.
You
put Russell Wilson on the Jets. No chance he sniffs a Super Bowl, dude. It's that offensive line. It's Marshawn Lynch, and it's the best defense in the NFL.
And what are the Jets doing right now? Where are they at?
Their offensive line is
in terms
nowhere
of defense.
comparable.
In terms of
to the
defense,
Seattle Seahawks.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks just lost 2 of their starters. They
Right now,
They lost 2 starters on defense last year, and they did just...
Fellas, all I'm saying is that the Jets have had the best free agency of any team this year. They've signed 2 corners, which they desperately needed. They've signed an offensive lineman.
Who's the other corner?
Buster Screen from Cleveland. They signed him, and then they got Revis on the other side. They drafted Dexter McDougal last year, and they got D. Milliner, who was a first round pick 2 years ago, coming back from injury. I think that they're going to be a great defense.
My last point on that: RG3 could not go through seasons in the NFC East with subpar defenses. You're telling me that Marcus Mariota is going to get through a 16-game season when he's playing in Dominic Sue's Miami Dolphins twice a year,
The best
Bill
defensive-
Belichick's New England Patriots, and then Rex Ryan's Buffalo Bills with that team, that defensive line. I just don't see it happen. I think that's like one of the worst situations that he can go into.
I don't want the Jets to take Mariota because I think it'll actually really screw them. I think if they draft a player that they really need and just try to get by one more season with Geno Smith,
and then also Russell Wilson shows you that you don't need to take a quarterback in the 1st round to win.
But you've got to. The Jets have a rookie head coach. They're building for the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Don't try to rush it. I just don't see Mariota being a stud.
Ideally, this is what I would like the Jets to do. I'd like them, if Mariota is sitting there at 6, if they can get someone to be interested enough to trade up to 6, even if it's not for Mariota, even if it's St. Louis or whoever else, or if the Giants want to trade up for somebody.
Well, they're not.
But here, this is my point. I would love for them to trade back, get a bundle of picks, and then save Mariota. Save him for another. I don't need him. Would I think it would be? Do I think it would be great? Do I think he would be good with Brandon Marshall, Art Decker, Jeremy Curley, Jason Morrow? I think that they would be good, but I think, like you said, it would be another circus because I think Geno Smith would be the starter.
Yeah.
And then I think it would be, people would be calling for his job. It would just be another circus, and that's the last thing they need.
All right. Wrap it there. I agree. You're right. They don't need a circus.
That's the last thing they need.
They don't need a
Well,
circus.
that's what Woody Johnson's been dealing with for the past decade.
All right, so we'll wrap it up. That was NFL free agency. That was kind of the bulk of the episode. We're gonna have Selection Sunday though. Is this Sunday? Well, I guess we'll do one before we go spring break. Hopefully, we'll see who's around. I know Bryce wasn't able to make it tonight, but we had Jim who filled in excellently. You'll have to become a regular if you're up for it. We had the Jets blanket up tonight. I didn't mention that.
Big week for the Jets. Brandon Marshall, Darrell Revis.
Yeah. Sean McCoy,
It's
Terry
still
Hughes.
backwards. What?
Is it?
It will be forward.
It will be forward.
Yeah.
We're looking at it backwards right now. That's why we hired, Master Editor in Chief.
Master
Tom
Chief.
Makovia. Master Chief Tom Makovia.
Tom, thank you for all that you do for us, by the way. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to get this up real soon. Fast break. We'll be back real quick. If you leave us comments, leave us whatever, send us emails, tweet at us throughout the week. We really appreciate it. And the fast break is only as strong as its
Supporters.
yeah, support. So we actually do appreciate you tuning in, and we have a good time doing this. So thanks a ton, Jim, Jake, Tom. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mike Ian. Fast break. See you soon.